So Nearpod can be used in two ways. It can happen asynchronously in the way that you're experiencing this Nearpod, where you can do it on your own time, or it can occur live in combination with Zoom. And I'm going to argue that both of those mimic a classroom extremely well through three ways. Number one, they help to build a classroom community. Number two, they provide a teacher with access to student thinking. In fact, way more access to student thinking than we might get in person. And three, it integrates presentation tools in a way that's fun for teachers who might like to be on stage. So I'm going to start with zooming in on this idea that they integrate presentations tools. Nearpod is basically a spruced up PowerPoint. If you look at this Nearpod of mine, you can see that most of it is just a set of PowerPoint slides. The way to really start building a Nearpod is to make a PowerPoint and then upload it into Nearpod. And I'll show you a little bit of that later. Okay, in addition to being a spruced up PowerPoint, Nearpod allows you to integrate internet content, whether it's a website or a video or a Google Doc. All of these internet programs integrate seamlessly into Nearpod. And the way to do that is by clicking somewhere on the screen where it opens up this page, and you can add slide, and then you add content, and you add a video or web content. And you can see by doing that, that the next slide just becomes a video or internet content. So it integrates seamlessly. In a classroom, I would have to go over to the computer, press escape, get out of my PowerPoint, futz around with the computer, get onto YouTube, and then play a YouTube video. In Nearpod, it just goes into the next slide. Okay, so that's how Nearpod integrates presentation tools. Additionally, Nearpod builds classroom community and gives you access to student thinking. And the main way it does that is through its activities. There are a lot of different ways that Nearpod invites you to get students to start sharing their ideas. So you can ask an open-ended question. I could stop here and say, what do you think of Sam's presentation? Okay, you can give a quiz with multiple choice questions. You can do a poll like I did earlier. You can have students draw things, and I'll show you that in a second. And my favorite one is the collaborate feature because it builds community, it's fun, and it services every student's thinking at once, not only to you, but to the whole classroom, which happens so rarely in our classes. So here's what it looks like. When I do a collaborate board, every student in the Nearpod shares their ideas. If they've signed into the Nearpod with their name is on there. And here you can see their idea. And there's an opportunity to give hearts to ideas that people like. So you can see that this teacher's idea received a lot of positive praise from their community. And we'll do a collaborate board in a little bit. Okay, you can also do a draw feature. In these draw features, students can create through typing, through drawing, through downloading internet images and pasting them onto whatever they're doing. Here we were mapping some events of the post-classical period in world history. And you can integrate Google Documents. And this is another way to get students to share their thinking all at once. And it's kind of better in some ways than the collaborate feature because students write more in Google Docs than they would in Collaborate. So here, I was asking everybody to reflect on an article that we read. I gave an exemplar along the top row. And here you can see everybody else's ideas, including our very own Scott Johnson, who was sharing his ideas on Confucianism's impact on Chinese history. Okay, and finally, when the Nearpod is over, the software automatically creates a report. So I can go to my file menu here, click on Reports, and I'm going to click on this report, and you can see that I get information about all the data from that Nearpod. Okay, I can see the class data and how they responded to this poll, and I can see individual data and all of my Nearpodders and how they responded to each question. So Nearpod builds community through Collaborate and through Google Docs by pairing with Zoom in a way that we'll show in a second. And it gives you access to student thinking through Google Docs, through Collaborates, through all the different features, as well as by giving data in a really quick manner.